beautiful Libra. Happy, happy birthday. I hope you are doing wonderful. I hope you are thriving. I hope you're receiving the love that you need most. And I hope that you're giving the love as well. So I'm here to do your birthday tarot reading. This is a solar return reading, so it's good for an entire year. So if something doesn't resonate quite yet, come back to the reading later on and see if it does then. Now, the way I do my birthday readings is I combine the astrological wheel with tarot. Now, the astrological wheel has 12 houses, and each house pertains to a specific theme in our life. Now, I've chosen to use 4 of those houses that are also known as the angular houses. And the reason I've chosen those houses is because they are the most important and usually have the greatest influence in our life. So the first house, the 4th house, the 7th house, and the 10th house are the houses that we're going to be working with today. And I'll explain what that means as I go along and as I pull the cards for those particular houses. Now, in all transparency, I have already done this reading twice, or I should say I have attempted to do this reading twice. However, the equipment that I was using before I switched to this that I'm using now shut down on me twice. And so I have already pulled the cards out. I'm finding it's comical because yes, we're in the midst of Mercury in retrograde, and I know exactly how it's hitting me in my chart, so I shouldn't be so surprised about this, but it's comical because it's happened 3 times already across 3 different platforms that I'm using. Anyway, yada, yada, yada. You don't care about that. Let's get to your birthday reading. So, moral of the story is I have already pulled the cards, so you're not going to be able to see me shuffle like you would normally see me shuffle, but I thought that what did come out initially was so important for you to hear that I'm going to keep true to that, and I'm going to keep the cards that came out for that, the first 2 readings, okay? All right, so with that said, again, you're not going to see the shuffling. You just have to trust me that they've been shuffled, okay? All right, so let's get started. We're going to start with the first house. Now, the first house in astrology is all about the self, the I am. It also talks about our physicality, like literally what we do physically with our bodies, so where we take our bodies, what we do with our bodies, what we put on our bodies, how we adorn ourselves, all that good stuff. And it's also how other people view us because of how we do what we do with our body, right? Sometimes it has other factors are involved depending on your natal astrology, but we're not going to get into that because we're not talking astrology today. So the first house also says a lot about our outlook and how we choose to defend ourselves. But more importantly is how we choose to be ourself, like what the I am. Just keep that in mind when we're talking about these cards. The cards that came out for that particular theme or that house are the death card, and the 6 of Cups. So this is very interesting because first and foremost, remember, this is good for a year. So if this isn't yet happening, you may see this show up later in the year. And what I mean by that is from your birthday year, your birthday now through next birthday. I don't mean like by the end of the year. I mean like literally your birthday to birthday, okay? All right. So what this tells me, dear Libra, is that there's definitely a significant change that's going to happen here in terms of your physicality, in terms of your self-presentation, if you will. If you haven't already done so, there are a couple of themes that I'm feeling here with these cards. I feel like there are 2 groups of you. There's a group of you that have already started a transformation going into your birthday season. You've already started. There's something physically that's changing, shifting. Some of you, it's by choice. Others of you, maybe not by choice. But in any case, there is an opportunity here, if you haven't already done so, to get rid of either habits or ways of being or routines in terms of your physicality. So that can be as simple as the lotions you use on your face, the way you move your body, how you work out, where you work out, those types of things, even cosmetic procedures. So there may be something here that you have felt the urge to set aside or that have left for whatever reason, okay, sometimes it happens by our own accord and other times because others come in or an external factor comes in to interfere and take it out of our life to help us and improve, even though it may not feel that way at the moment. But here, the opportunity for you, Libra, is to transform physically, quite literally, and transform the I am, transform the self, transform how you show up in the world. And in that way, transform the way others view you as well. Now, it's paired with the Six of Cups. So this can quite literally also mean that you may go back to something that brought you joy, some kind of form of exercise or something. It could even be an old style, an old dress, or a former way of doing something with your body or how you dress it that used to bring you joy, and that for whatever reason you set it aside and now you're bringing it back, you're reintroducing it through this transformation that you're going through or through this opportunity to transform that you're going through. Okay, so what does that look like? So that can be, for example, maybe some of you had a sport. Maybe you used to hike and now you're picking it up again. Or maybe you used to wear teal and you're realizing you've been wearing black for a whole year and now you want to wear red and, bring up the colors or whatever. It's going to play out differently. But remember that the crux of this energy, the crux of the first house is the self. Okay, we're not just implementing a new workout routine, new cosmetics, new whatever adornment because just for the sake of it. There's an inherent, deeper rooted thing happening here, and that's usually more psychological, and it's about how you are feeling about yourself. Okay, so whatever this is, this can also be just literally, this can even be going back to an old belief system that you've had, because remember, it's also our ideals and it's our outlook in life. Okay, so it could be about becoming even more childlike. This, by the way, can also be like a friend from the past who was inspirational or beneficial to your physicality coming back, and maybe a friend who was really like, I keep saying sporty, but this can play out in so many different ways. You just need to kind of figure it out what it is for you. But in general, it can be like someone quite literally coming back from your past, like a childhood friend that you enjoyed spending time with that really inspired you to get out into nature and do things, and it directly influencing your physicality and how you show up in the world. Hope that makes sense. Okay, let's move on to your fourth house. So the fourth house speaks of our childhood, more so like our ancestry. It also speaks about the home that we live in. It speaks about the energy in the home that we're currently living. So sometimes it can be about other people that we live with as well. But it also can talk about the mother or the nurturing parent in your life. It's basically the fourth house is ruled by Cancer. So it's all things Cancerian. It's about self-care. It's about how much time we want to spend at home, all that good stuff. Okay, so right out of the gate, for you, I got the Seven of Wands, the Son of Wands, and the Sage of Swords. So this tells me that you have potentially felt some tension in the home life. And this can be, there are a couple of different ways that this can play out. The Seven of Wands is all about creating boundaries. The Seven of Wands doesn't just show up just because. When the Seven of Wands shows up, it's because you've had to endure some kind of opposition or inquietude or something that just has not gone well, that you've had enough, and you're like, enough is enough. Here's my boundary. This is who I am. Because then you have the Sage of Swords, which is very like almost cold, or it can be cold, but more importantly than that, it's very decisive. This is how things are going to be now. These are the new rules. You no longer, for those of you who have kiddos, it can be that your kiddos are now, you're like, I'm done with you coming home in the middle of the night, or whatever it is, right? Or it can be your spouse, it can be your partner doing something in the home, home front that's just not working for you anymore. And then you have the Knight of Wands or the Son of Wands in this deck. And that's about a lot of raw energy coming in and almost even inconsistent energy. So when I see these three cards together, the way they came out together in the home life, in the fourth house, I'm sensing that this can play out a few different ways. Okay, number one, some of you can be having issues within the home life that have brought to your attention that boundaries need to be set. Okay, that's one. And by the way, this can be with your neighbors, right? It can be with your neighbors interrupting your home life. It can be critters in your life. It can be the animals, your babies that you have, your spouse, your partners. But it can also be about having a need to be home or wanting to almost like lock down at home, because there is this sense of, I'm going to protect myself and I'm going to keep myself in these walls sort of thing, right? But whatever this is, dear Libra, you know, by the way, this can also be about some legality or some contract regarding the home or the place you live in. So for some of you, this tension can also be, you know, maybe you're a landlord, or maybe you have a landlord, or maybe you're paying a mortgage, you own your home, whatever it is for you. There's something here that can be contractual, because the Sage of Swords paired here with the Seven of Wands, this is also an indication of, this can be a written, because it's not just verbal and it's not just a physical boundary you're putting up. It can also be a written boundary. For those of you who have been looking for confirmation on whether or not you should put something in writing regarding your living situation, this is a yes. And I just felt that and heard that clearly, that some of you have been wanting or thinking or wondering if you should reorganize the contracts of your living situation. This can also be your estate, by the way, like anything pertaining to the home, your loans, your quick claim deeds, like who you have on contract, that kind of thing. Or also renegotiating your rent for those of you who rent. So again, remember, we're talking about theme upon theme about theme, because we're narrowing down. We're utilizing the fourth house. That's one theme that has its own list of themes. On top of that, we're adding the tarot, right? So that brings in another list of themes. And so for me, it's my job to interpret it based on the amount of themes, and then we co-create this together. This reading is a co-created reading. This is where you come in and you pull in the themes that resonate with you in order to make it a more accurate reading for you. Okay, so that's what's going on in the fourth house. So I would say that there is a confirmation for those of you who have been wondering about some kind of agreement, contract. Yes, it's a yes. Yes, yes, go review it. Yes, especially right now during Mercury in retrograde, great time to review things. But the bottom line here, Libra, is whatever is happening in the home life, or this, by the way, remember, it's in the fourth house, so it could be with a parent. It can possibly be you putting up a boundary with a parent, more so the nurturing, quote unquote, maternal parent, so the mother, but it doesn't have to be. It can also be a father. It can be another parent. Okay, we'll come back. I'll do a whole wrap up at the end. Let's move on to the seventh house. So the seventh house, dear Libra, and by the way, I know I'm looking at different directions, and this is because I switched my equipment and I don't know how to use this thing. So hopefully I'm looking at you. I don't know what I'm looking at, so bear with me, and thank you for your patience. Okay, so the seventh house is about relationships. It's also about legalities and contracts. The seventh house is associated in astrology. The seventh house is associated with marriage. It's also associated with divorce. It's associated with all levels of relationship, whether it's business partnership or romantic partnership. But in most cases, when we speak about the seventh house, we're speaking about the marriage, okay? Not always. It can be different things. But when we speak about these cards that have come out, I want you to think of it in context of all potential relationships, but also the contractual side of those relationships, like the legal side of it, okay? This is why divorce also lives in the 7th house. It's not because the 7th house is about breakups. No, it's about relationship and contracts regarding those relationships or associated with those relationships. Okay, you get the gist. So you got in the 7th house, for you, for your solar return year, you got the Hanged One, which is also known as the Hanged Man, and the Daughter of Wands in reverse. And the Daughter of Wands is when it's upright, it's not, it's in reverse, but when it's upright, it's an indication that we're igniting something, that we're getting something started, that our raw energy is infused and ready to go, or inspired, okay? But here you got 2 cards. Not only did you get this in reverse, but you also got the Hanged Man. So there's something here that it could be a relationship that you are considering or that you're in. It's got you holding, or you have held back your energy from that relationship for whatever reason. It can also mean holding back your energy from any and all relationships too. But there's something here that's got you pausing a little bit, pulling back a little bit. And it can play out a couple of different ways. The reason for that pulling back could be because something potentially has happened that's hurt you, that you're maybe reconsidering, because the Hanged Man is also about looking at different perspectives of things. So you could be just buying yourself some time in terms of stepping back and really reassessing, is this situation the right situation for me? Remember, this doesn't have to be romantic. It can be a business partnership. So there's something here that's got you holding back. And there's also, at the same time, you're being encouraged here to take your time, not feel rushed. It's okay to pull your energy back. And at the same time, while you're doing that, looking at all sides. So whatever you don't agree with, whether it's a contract or a romantic relationship or a business relationship, stepping back before making any decisions, because usually when the Hanged Man shows up, it's also forewarning us it's not necessarily the right time to go ahead and take action. It's about stepping back, looking at all the perspectives. What are you being stubborn about? Is there something you're being stubborn about that potentially you could maybe change up the perspective and see if there's something that can be dealt with differently or responded to differently, okay? We're going to do a clarifier for each house when we come back, okay? So that's the 7th house for now. Let's move on to the 10th house. Now, the 10th house is about our career. It can be career, it can be our social standing in life. It can also be something that you are known for in public. It doesn't need to be something that you necessarily get paid for. So for example, you can be, you can have a regular 9-to-5 job that you get your salary from, you get your pay, whatever your pay from. However, you're known for an advocate on a case, or an advocate on something, a cause, or you volunteer, or you lead a different group, or you have a different network, or you're known for something else, or you're working on the side on something else that you're becoming known for. So when we think about the 10th house, don't just think about it as that thing which pays you, okay? It can also be whatever is encouraging you and inspiring you to do something that puts you front and center in front of other people to serve others, okay? All right. And I see here that you have there's a lot of anxiety there and for you potentially here when it comes to your career, or maybe even trying to make a decision as to what direction to go into. And the reason I say that is because you got the 8 of Swords. You see how it's not the cheeriest, it's not the happiest card, but it also brings awareness that there's something here bringing anxiety, potentially losing sleep over. Maybe there's a position that you've been wanting. Maybe you want to leave your job, or maybe there's something else you want to be doing and you're not sure how to take the next step. You also got the Two of Swords. So that tells me that there's a decision here that you have to choose between. And you got the Five of Swords. So there's something complex happening here in the area of your career that is causing, it's causing you to really reassess. It's making you maybe potentially a little nervous, but it's also because you have choices, because you have to decide between maybe two factors here. And you know that one choice can potentially cause a little bit of conflict with maybe an external person, maybe a boss, maybe a friend. There's something here that's iffy, that's icky. I don't see this as a loss. I don't see this as the ickiness is you're losing something. I feel that it's the opposite. I feel that you have more to choose between, and that's what's causing the iffiness, the anxiety, this having to choose between the two. But then also there's some fear that it's going to cause conflict with someone or an external person or situation. Maybe it's a project you're choosing between. Maybe you're working on both at the same time and you're trying to balance those two things. Maybe it's, you're working on a job and a creative project and it's causing a conflict. One or the other is causing the anxiety or conflict. But the interesting thing is, because we got two more cards in that area for you, while that's happening, you have the Hierophant in reverse paired with the Devil. And now I'm laughing because it's just, for sometimes as a reader, I look at a card and it can't get any more like specific, right? And so when I see the Hierophant in reverse, I think like a person in authority completely being flipped, completely like pissed, so this for me confirms there is someone, quote unquote, of authority. Now the Hierophant in traditional tarot, let me show you upright what he looks like. In traditional tarot, you got it in reverse. In traditional tarot, the Hierophant is, a spiritual leader. It's the authority in some kind of ideal that we believe in. It can also sometimes rule the sign of Taurus, or it can also sometimes speak about timing around the time of Taurus. So this could also speak of something that you started in April, May-ish area time frame that maybe now you flipped it on its side and you're going to end it. And so it's going to maybe upset someone a little bit, right? And then it's paired with the Devil, and the Devil traditionally is not ruled, but associated with the sign of Capricorn. The Capricorn is associated with the planet Saturn. Saturn and Capricorn are both known for the authorities in our life, okay? They're known for the higher ups. They're known for that which we feel restricted or obliged to, or that we feel obligated to, or a responsibility. So therefore it brings some sort of restriction with it, right? So, I mean, you can't make this up. You're going to probably piss someone off in authority, and it's making you nervous, like it's stressing you out. And again, the authority doesn't have to be a 9-to-5 job. It can be, for those of you who are creators, it can be, a producer, a director, or if you're an actor, it can be like, it doesn't have to be the traditional 9-to-5 CEO. It can be, and it may be for most of you, but it's just basically someone that carries the essence or the energy of a higher up, if you will. Now, for those of you who are looking for a job, also this can indicate the time frame of December or the time frame of Capricorn. So that's mid-December through mid-January. So potentially that's when you'll start a new position, or that there's going to be something there. For those of you that this is showing up for you for time frame reasons, okay? Because sometimes that happens. Sometimes we can have and or, right? So wow, Libra, you have a lot of energy coming in here. And I have to say, as I'm looking at these cards, and I'm going to take a picture of it, and maybe I'll put it on the thumbnail. I don't know. I'll figure out where to put it for you. But as I'm looking at the spread in front of me, this whole transit, even the boundary setting in the household, even the pulling back before you make a decision in terms of this partnership that you're in, or pulling back your energy. By the way, this I forgot to say for this, because for the relationship, for the romantic side of the seventh house, for those of you that this applies romantically, this can also mean a pulling back of your sexuality, or your sexual energy, because the Daughter of Wands, you see upright, you see it's very indicative of like sexual energy, raw energy. So this in reverse can also be an indicator of pulling back. It can even be an indicator of someone else pulling back that energy from you because they need time to balance and take another perspective. It can also be for those of you who are not partnered, just in general, you're just not feeling that energy or that want to sexually even open up for whatever reason, for like now, right? Remember, these are temporary times. It's not a forever thing. But anyway, going back to what I was saying earlier, when I look at these cards, it really starts off with this Death card. It's whatever this transformation that you're going through physically, not just physically, but in your mindset and your outlook in life. That's what's setting the tone for all of these changes for you, including this 10th house energy about your career and wanting to make a move to something different. The reason you're being inspired to make these big leaps is because you're really transforming inside out. There's something major happening here. There's something from last year that is catapulting you into this, it's almost like you have with this, you're starting off with the Death card. You're starting the beginning with death. I mean, that's like a huge indicator of, you're ending something to begin something new, but you're also beginning something new to end something new type of thing, right? And so, we don't typically start the first house with death. So this tells me you're starting off with a huge transformation, and that typically happens because something major would have happened the prior year for you, whether this is in relationship, whether it's health. Oh, by the way, the first house can also talk a little bit about health. It's not the house of health, but it can indicate something, or it can give results, right? It can tell us a little bit of the result of the 6th house, which is the house of health. But we won't get too much into that because I think you have plenty here already to take in and absorb. I think what I want to do, let's see, how much time do we have? Okay. Do I need to clarify any of these? I don't. I thought I was going to need to clarify, but I think it's pretty clear. Let me see if I need to just wrap something up. Remember that in the 4th house, or things related to your home, there may be something that comes up that needs you to be clear, very clear in the contractual piece of that, okay? That's very important. And then also be wary of energies coming in and out of your household that feel a little bit unstable. I think that's it, my lovely Libra, but I want to end with an oracle card for you. I go to this oracle card for everything, for myself. Like I literally pull a card, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, depending on what's going on in my day, for myself every day. It's The Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. Many of you may know this already because, it's beloved among us in the tarot community. And they just bring a lot of wisdom. So, dear Spirit, what oracle, what message does Libra need to know most at this time from this oracle deck? My beautiful Libra, happy birthday. Okay, come on. Oh, okay. You can't make this up. I'm going to read you the meaning in just a bit. But before I do that, just a couple of announcements. First and foremost, If you like this channel, if you like the reading, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. I also have recently started a Kickstarter campaign for a tarot deck that I'm working on with another co-creator. And so I'll put the link down below. We're a little bit behind right now in terms of our fundraising efforts. So if you would like to contribute to that effort, I would greatly appreciate you for that. And for anybody needing an astrology reading, a natal reading specifically, that's my focus, or a solar return reading. That's another one of my favorites to do, or a tarot reading. I'll leave my info below so you can reach out to me. And happy birthday. But before you go, let me read what this message is for you. And it's fork in the road. So definitely, Libra, there's something here that you are deciding between. You're definitely ready for a different direction. There's something going on, and I think definitely could be in your 7th house. It could be in any area. Definitely the 1st house, we already know you're changing there. But you have something going on in home life. You definitely, relationships got you holding back. But then that 10th house, remember, you had all that heavy energy about making decisions. So fork on the road. Let's see what this oracle card is. It's card number 13. 13 adds up to the 1 and the 3 to 4, which talks about stability, talks about structure. So again, 4 can represent the home. It can represent our security. It can represent whatever makes us feel stable and secure in life. So let's see. Fork in the road. The essential meanings are time to make a decision, considering the consequences as you prepare to act, owning up to your obligation to make a necessary choice. So again, I'm thinking about this other thing you have going on over here that potentially is making you feel very restricted. Remember, sweetheart, you want to make, and I don't mean that in a condescending way, by the way, me saying sweetheart, but remember, we want to live for ourselves, right? Not for others. So just remember that. Okay, let me keep reading here. The oracle's message: every choice has a consequence. You know that as a Libra, you rule that. You rule the 7th house. You rule, or you are associated with the 7th house. So you already know about fairness and consequence. You've arrived at a fork in the road and are being asked to come to a decision. Will you further your dreams by choosing left or by choosing right? Will you take the road less traveled or the one well-worn by others who have come before you? This is your choice and yours alone to make. Circumstances and other people will not make it for you. Be present and do not avoid this junction, for it is an important crossroads. Take heart, as no matter which path you choose, you will have a rich and meaningful experience. All right, my beautiful Libra, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. Please make sure to subscribe, and please share this reading if you liked it. I would greatly appreciate that. Okay, bye.